is the drama that we create. So basically, we think that like other people are responsible for our situation. That's what people generally think, but it is actually not so. If you keenly observe, you will find that we are basically creating all the dramas in our life. Okay, and we, if we don't take responsibility for anything, any situation, then we are saying that other people have created that situation, or like other people, or like somebody else outside of ourselves have created that situation. In that case, we don't have the power, because we already have given the power away by saying that this person or that person has created this situation in my. People generally think themselves as just the body and mind, like just the physical being, but everyone has a higher power within them. Okay, so the more we realize it, or like the more we tap into that higher potential, we can actually go above our limitations.
Hi
I'm
Anurag,
good, thank you.
how are
And
you?
what about you?
I'm fine, I'm doing fine. I'm doing fine. What about your job nowadays? How is it going?
It's going good.
Yeah, so you usually work in the data science field.
Yeah, so I basically work in the data and analytics space, and I'm working as a manager and a data architect.
So there are many ways to collect those data. Coming to an individual, we read and we collect data in our mind, data in the form of information. Then we synthesize it. But over the period of time, it is seen that the habit of reading is reducing. It has reduced to a limit that many of the bookstores, many of the publishing houses are closing down. Indians, I don't think ever had a habit of reading. There's no much reading habit prevalent in this country. Even in Western world, people are reading less and less thanks to the technology now. But I'm always fascinated by some people who always find the time to read, and you are one among them. So the first thing I would like to ask is, from where do you find the time to read, given the busyness in your job?
Yeah, so it is basically not a push factor, it is a pull factor. So I am basically pulled into, or like I am driven by that interest. So whenever there is a challenge, be it in business or in life, like wherever it is, so I tend to look for the answers. So for me, the answers mostly come in the form of books. Yeah, so basically I am being like pulled into this reading habit, basically because of the challenges that I face, be it in work or in personal life, or like wherever it is. So whenever I have some questions in my mind, so I find the answers usually through books. That has been my experience. Like whenever I have something going on in my mind, like some challenges. So maybe like I will have a question like, what is it that I want to learn from this, or what is it that I need to change in this situation? So it almost all the time it happens that I'll find a book. So books also, I don't just read it like randomly. So I will, if I go to a bookshop, I'll get a feeling like I need to take that book. So I just go by the feeling, and most probably I will have the answer for like what I was like looking for. So that is the way I use books, and it has been helpful for me, like many areas, whether it is work or like personal finance, or um, spirituality, self improvement, so many areas. So I have found the answers. And like for example, if I'm going to a client location for a like a new kind of work, so I don't have any experience there, or I don't feel very confident. Okay, so in that situation, I will start thinking about it, like how do I tackle that situation. Okay, so mostly I will get the answers through the books. Some books will be there, and I will be getting the answers. So when I implement that, it will mostly solve the problem. Okay, so I will try to think what exactly is my problem. So most of the time, we will have the knowledge or the skill required, or at least 80% of the time we will have it, but we may not be feeling confident. So many issues like that. So most of the time I found that it is not a knowledge or skill that is always lacking, but some other things like confidence, for example, or maybe courage, or having a positive frame of mind to approach a challenge. So most of those things I usually find it through books, and I have been like enormously benefited by reading the books.
So you talk a lot about one particular book, which is this conversation with God. What is this book all about, and how have you found answers in this?
This book is written by Neil Donald Walsh, but it is not actually written. It is like channeling. So he wrote that book at a point in time where like he was having so much of issues in life. He lost his job. Almost like he was like homeless for an year in US. So there are like multiple things, relationships, divorce, so many things happened in his life. So he was like, one day he was like just venting his anger. He was writing in a notepad, like why his life is like that, what is that he needs to learn, so that like his life will change and things will work for him. Then he started hearing a voice, like whether he needs the answers for this, or like whether he is just venting his anger. So then he started getting some answers, like he started asking and then he was getting answers. Initially he thought like he is just it's just his imagination. Later on he came to understand that like he is receiving the answers from somewhere, like he mentions it as like he received the answers from God. And while reading I also felt that it is like whatever it is written is true. I had that feeling. So whenever we read that, we will get that feeling. Otherwise, we won't be able to continue reading that. That is also written in that
So
book.
what was that? Was this the inner voice of the person speaking or something else?
That like he says, like he is like he was hearing it as if from outside. So anyway, it is basically not from his imagination, that we will also be able to.
One question is that the books are actually helping tool for us to listen to our inner voice. I mean, the greater thing is not reading, but the greater thing is to listen to that inner voice and then start to live accordingly. What do you say about that?
So that is for this particular book, that is very true, because it is of like practical wisdom which we can apply and see the result for ourselves. So that's why I kept on reading it. I kept on going back to that book, like whenever I find a new challenge in my life, I just went back to that book. I also found some comfort, because it is like a very loving voice that is giving the answers. So it was comforting also in a way. So I kept on going back to that book, and I found the answers also for many things. And today also, like I discover like new things out of that book. So like, so I will tell you like some of the things, probably some of the initial things I learned. So one great lesson was, it is like, so people generally try to do things in life, and then get what they want, and then become happy. So that's what we are also taught by the society, like, or from our family, schools, everywhere. Learn, get good grades, find a job, good job, and then buy the things that you want, means have the things you want to have, and then become happy. So that book,
Shallow way of living life.
yeah,
Shallow way of living life, I am saying. There's
so
no
you can
depth
say
in
like
it, huh?
do, have, and be. So that is the way people generally do in our society, in our culture. So that book says it is actually the other way around. Instead of try to do so many things, first be. So we should become like, if you observe that, this is something I also observe, the happy people tend to become more successful in life. Some people may be like very hardworking, but they may not find that much success in their life. So in a way, like, they are limiting their own success. So that is another thing probably we can discuss. But this is like, we need to be like happy, I mean joyful, grateful. Then whatever we do tend to become successful. So that is the formula. It is the other way around. Be first, be joyful, be grateful, be loving, all those things first. So people generally postpone all these things. I'll become happy when I get that job, or when I get that promotion, when I finally retire, so many things. So instead of doing that, so this actually, I have read another book also. This is from one guy who studied in, I think, Harvard. So he also noticed these things, and he actually wrote a book on that, like happiness advantage. So he like researched, like he did interviews and he observed, and then he wrote a book on that. It is on the same thing. So he said that is his also finding through his research, that happy people tend to become more successful. So that is like one another book that on the same topic. So this is like one of the things that I observed. Though before that, like, I was trying to learn new things. I was just trying to maybe find a better job, so many things. And I was actually like, whenever we find a difficult situation, for example, like a difficult job, people generally resist it. So they think that, like, okay, I don't want this job, I don't want to be in this situation. And so that is like resisting the present moment. Okay, so so the way to the future is only through the present. If you resist the present, there is no way of going to the future, because the good job that we want, it is in the future, but we are resisting the present. So what we resist first. So like, I was at a point in my career that, like, I was resisting that particular situation. Okay, so I was trying to get out of it, uh, not by accepting the situation, but by trying to do something else. So what I found that when I resisted more and more, that situation also became uh, it only just got aggravated, or like it was just persisting. I was not finding any solution. Then I came to understand through this book and like many other books. One of them is like Eckhart Tolle's Power of Now. He also speaks about the accepting the present moment. Okay, so then I not only just that situation, multiple situation, I started like learning it like bit by bit, and then I started accepting it. So after that, situation started changing. So then it was a confirmation that okay, that is correct. So then so I was able to get out of that situation and go into a better future after that. So that was also like a one of the learnings that I got from that book.
One thing I would like to ask, you said the way to everything is being that. How to
Yeah.
be that? What the book teaches about being something rather than trying to achieve something.
Yes. So being is something that we can do without any external thing. So that is like our social conditioning, basically, that we are from the childhood itself, like we are taught that like we can be happy only if we have that toy or like have that whatever it is. Then we have learned it. So now we think that only the situation is as we expected or like as we desired, then only we can be happy. Happiness is a state of being, or like it's a basically no unhappiness. We are not resisting anything. Okay, we are accepting it, and we like have that inner joy. So that sense of gratitude, joyfulness, all these things are like beingness. So we don't really need anything outside. So we will be able to train ourselves to certain extent. I was also like change and not be dependent on outside circumstances, and then it had the corresponding change in my life also. So that beingness, so we can choose to be grateful no matter what is the situation. So it is our interpretation basically. We think that like only if my situation changes then I'll become grateful or like joyful, but it is a inner thing. This beingness is something internal to us. We don't really need anything outside. So we will be able to, if we try, we will be able to choose any state of being. So that's what I also understood. So acceptance helps us to remove that unhappiness. Okay, so that state of being, or like if we are like happy no matter what, then whatever we do tend to become more successful. And if we are doing something grudgingly, it may not be that effective. From my experience also, that was what I learned.
So, coming back to this topic of being, several people do not understand it. Even I had the difficulty of understanding how to be something rather than trying to achieve something. And nowadays, what is seen that especially young people, when they want another human being to be in their life to fulfill their emotional needs, spiritual needs, they rather than focusing on themselves, rather than being, what usually they do is to uh, you know sort of chase the other person. So speaking to younger people, if I ask to you, how would you define being and not chasing the other person in a relationship or before the relationship? They usually drive them out of their lives by doing this. And what is the right way of going through it? How can you be something which automatically attracts the other person into your life?
So I think it is probably something which even mindfulness or like multiple spiritual systems, everyone talks about the same thing basically. So it is probably only through our experience that we will be able to first understand that like we are addicted to our um, relationships or like expectations, desires, likes and dislikes. We are addicted to everything basically. Only if we have that particular situation or like whatever that we expect or desire, then we will be happy. Otherwise, we are unhappy. So this is basically that is something we trained ourselves. Okay, so we can change it through, but um, it is like it is easy to read about it and understand it theoretically, and implementing it or making it practical is another thing. So I think a spiritual system helps. So my own spiritual practice, I think it helped me. So only so we may need to go through multiple situations and then observe what is the outcome. Then only we will start changing that. So so that is one thing. I think practical spiritual any system which can like practically help us will help. So that is my advice to any youngsters. So these things, especially the romantic relationships, right? So in spiritual systems, people generally say that this can create like deepest of impressions. Okay, so especially in India, so the situation is that people will get married maybe only after 25 or like 30, things like that, and people fall in love. So it is an experience. The So I read about that in, I think, the road less traveled. In that book, the author says, so in this experience, where like we term it as falling in love. So what happens is that the ego of two people, for momentarily at least, it like melts away, or like they feel a oneness. Okay, at least temporarily. So whenever people feel that oneness, there is no ego, and people find it very pleasant. Okay, but it is a temporary thing. So whenever that falling in love, uh, that experience passes, then that ego snaps back, and then people find so many differences between people. So even the research shows that even the most romantic relationship may not have that romantic feeling after maybe like 3 years. So that's what research says. So it is a property of the heart, like people tend to fall in love and things like that. So it is basically because of that melting away of that ego and feeling of that oneness, which is giving that pleasant feeling. So that is one thing I would like to mention there, especially to the younger people. So it is pleasant, but the thing we need to understand that it is a very critical decision. Okay, so so we need to think through it before like deciding like about a life partner. So I think having a spiritual practice always helps. So I thought that I could have like focused more in my studies if I had a spiritual practice during my college days. And also like when we make critical decisions like this, it is we need to have some guidance. So and having a
But how
spiritual
the
practice
spiritual
also
practice helps, how the spiritual practice helps you to be something rather than chasing something. What is the difference
yeah.
between chasing one thing and being that thing?
Beingness is our state of being. So there are two things: beingness and thinking. Okay, so we are thinking most of the time. Okay, so we don't need to be thinking all the time. Okay, so the problem with thinking is that whatever there is in our subconscious, it will keep on coming to our conscious mind. Okay, so that happens. For example, if a person is like going for an interview, okay, so he can be, if he can be confident, if it is probably his first interview, he may be like more confident. But if he had like multiple failures in interviews, then that experience of failure, that bitterness, that disappointment, that is there in his subconscious mind. So this is what is called as a samskara, or a impression which gone into your subconscious mind. Okay, so if we think all the time, okay, so this experience, or this memories of that bitter experience, that will come, and it will create some expectations of failure. Like people tend to think that, okay, I may fail in this. So it will create that fear, it will create that expectation of failure. So this is coming from our subconscious mind. So if we are like thinking all the time, this can come up and can cause problems. So this is like my understanding after probably like so many years. I was like not aware of all these things probably at a younger age. So this is something we need to be aware of. Okay, so if we are able to uh, be, or like feel that happiness, or like a gratitude without thinking, so this is not a easy thing to achieve. I will not say that it is very easy to achieve this, but this is something to be aware of. Okay, so this I came to understand maybe after multiple readings of this conversations with God, and also like through the spiritual practice.
What does it suggest, the book? What does it suggest? The book suggests to be, and does it give some process how you can be rather than to think?
It is like whatever we are being, it is actually transmitting something within us. I mean, from us to outside. For example, it says whatever we want, we cannot have it. So the more we become like desperately wanting something, so then we are actually, our beingness transmits that like we don't have whatever we want. Okay, so then we will be in that situation. The universe responds to like whatever thoughts that we are having, and we are transmitting our thought that like we don't have this thing. So we will just continue to be in that situation of wanting something. We will not get it. But instead of that, if we are in a state of being of gratitude, because it has something to do with the faith as well, like we are so sure that the divinity or like higher being or whatever we call it, it will grant it. Okay, so that is actually the truth, but we need to become like aware of it or like experience it, then we start believing it. Okay, so if we have that knowingness that whatever we want is already given, or like even the asking is not necessary, if we are in that state of knowing, so then we will have that gratitude. Okay, it is not even necessary to ask, we are in a state of gratitude without thinking. So again, if you think about the past or the future, the past and the future always comes from our mind. So if we think about the past or the future, then we will have again, we are in the mind. So there can be thoughts of failure or attachment to the future. So if we get attached to what we want also, so what is attachment? It is a fear of losing, fear of losing what we want, right? That is the attachment. So then also we are saying, we are transmitting that fear that like we may not have what we want, or we may lose it. Even if we have it, or even if we get it, we may lose it. That fear is there. So we are actually pushing it away. Okay, so that is the state of being that book also recommends. This actually I got from Friendship with God, which is like a subsequent book to the Conversations with God. So we have like four books in that volume, and then there are like other books altogether, around 9 books in that series. So this is what I could understand. Like if we are able to come out of, or like transcend the mind and be in that state of beingness all the time, then things will start happening automatically. So we need to see it for ourselves. We need to experience this.
So is it like the law of attraction thing, where you attract what you think or what you feel, and what you feel you attract. So that's why it is said that you should always focus on abundance rather than on scarcity. So if you always feel like you want something, there's a chance that thing may never be fulfilled. But if you feel that you already have it.
Yes. So, related to this topic, actually, so I would like to recommend the books by Abraham Hicks. This is again a kind of a channeled book. Abraham is like a consciousness group of people, or group of souls probably, who are like channeling to a couple, Jerry Hicks and Esther Hicks. So Esther Hicks is actually channeling this message. So we can understand like a lot about the law of attraction from about that topic from their books. So a few things to understand. I think the book Secret popularized the law of attraction. Almost all the people know about law of attraction these days because of Secret. And I came to know that like the one of the sources of secret is also books by Abraham Hicks. So so a few things that I understood about the law of attraction. One is that, so whatever, basically whatever we want or like whatever we need, that we will be getting it. But two things basically which are like which are blocking that thing. So one is that um, we will have, if we have some judgment about ourselves or probably others also, they call it like the art of allowing. Allow ourselves to be what we are, allow others to be what they are. So basically no judgment about ourselves or others. So if we have some judgment about ourselves, so basically we are saying that uh, we don't deserve a good life, or like we don't deserve all the things that we like, because um, we have some judgments about ourselves or even others. So those are like basically same thing, whether we have judgments about ourselves or others, it is basically the same thing. So these are like, and the other thing is the attachment. So if we are like too much attached to what we want, there again like we have that fear or doubt that like we may not have, or like we may lose what we want.
Of the thing which you were just talking about, law of attraction and being something, uh, it is very difficult to be in that state. And I keep watching Bob Proctor's video, the beautiful videos which talk about shifting the paradigm. And it says that if you start to feel positive about any given situation, your paradigm shifts higher and higher and higher, and your ability to attract goodness in your life increases. On the contrary, I have also seen several people, they just doesn't want to come out of that mindset. And I think what is lacking is the awareness in those people, that they are absorbed into a kind of mindset which is not going to attract anything good. Now that's one category of people. Another category of people is like me, who knows that being absorbed in a particular mindset is going to attract negative, but still it is so tough to come out of it. And also sometimes it is very attractive. I don't know why, because we want sympathy of the people around us, that we tend to just sink into a negative mindset and we just remain there, instead of feeling envious about somebody. We can just celebrate the other person's success. That in turn increases our chance to be successful ourselves in our lives, rather than being envious to somebody. This is such a simple principle, and it happens. But still we hold on to that envy, instead of wishing well to the other person. What do you have to say about this whole scenario? Because I have seen, sometimes it feels like several people are born with a silver spoon in their mouth. They have things what other people have to struggle for. Wishing them well, saying that it's good that you are born with so much abundance, and surely one day I will have the abundance. Now this is one mindset. Another one says that, the complaining mindset, where we always say that he or she is born with so much abundance and I don't have that, and that stops us also from having that abundance. So what do you have to say about changing this mindset, which is so easy, but then it is at the same time it is so tough?
Yeah, so I think like one reason why we will change it, because like we will come to understand that it is not working. So like there are like multiple things to discuss here. So one is the drama that we create. So basically we think that like other people are responsible for our situation. That's what people generally think, but it is actually not so. If you keenly observe, you will find that we are basically creating all the dramas in our life. Okay, and we, if we don't take responsibility for anything, any situation, then we are saying that other people have created that situation, or like other people, or like somebody else outside of ourselves have created that situation. In that case, we don't have the power, because we already have given the power away by saying that this person or that person has created this situation in my life. So we are saying that the power is with the other person. Okay, but only if we accept the fact that everything that is happening in our life, we are basically responsible. Okay, if we take that responsibility, then we have the power, because if we created something, if we have created something, we have the power also to change it. But if we continue to believe that other people are responsible, then never it is going to, because other people never going to be 100% the way we want, right? So we are like creating that drama. This is also something, as you rightly said, this is something that we have learned. So we will get the attention of other people, like in childhood days, like whenever we are like sick or something, we get the sympathy of other people. So we have learned that. Then like we will create that drama in ourselves, like okay, I am the victim of whatever situation or the people. Then we think that like we get the sympathy of other people and we don't need to change anything, right? Because like I am just a victim of the situation. So I have seen like many people personally also who have got into this victim mentality, and for like many years like their situation is actually getting worse and worse, but they are not realizing that, but they continue to think that they are the victims and they don't have the power. Then they don't have the power. So this I came to understand that like this is the case, and then I started taking responsibility for my own situation. Then only I could also change the situations that I found like difficult. Okay, so that is one thing. And the I think the other thing that you mentioned is like how do we get out of this, so that like we can be in the right attitude, so that we can attract the things that we want, right? So understanding this is the first thing, that this is the drama that we are creating, and I am not actually a victim. I don't need to be a victim, I have the power. So this is something we need to understand and be aware of. So basically the problems, so this I came to understand from Eckhart Tolle. He says that like whatever problems that we face, it is for a reason, because the basic purpose of life is to help us realize our true nature, or our higher nature. So when the problems come, it is basically to rise above that. Okay, when we grow, we come to understand that like okay, we are like more than that problem, or like we are always greater than what that problem can do to us, or like we have the power within us to overcome any problem. So when we grow spiritually, it actually helps us to like go through or like overcome all these problems as well. And then the regarding the law of attraction. So so the law of attraction says like whatever we think, we tend to attract, right? But there is a like a clarification needed there. So this is something people don't generally understand. When people say that like they want money and they think about money, it is most of the time it is about the lack of money they are thinking, not that they have a abundant money or like they are grateful for that. They are always thinking about the lack of money. Okay, so Abraham Hicks, they recommended something like, if you are not able to think positively about and feel positively about something, then like think in general. Like don't think about that specific problem. Like if you have a relationship problem or a money problem, don't think about that in particular and try to think positive, because like whenever you think about it, you tend to think negatively, because you have a serious problem there, like some bad experience. So you will think about that. So they recommend that think in general. Like for example, some people who have like a simple mind and simple faith, they think that like their deity or like whatever whoever they are praying to, they will take care of everything. They don't have a second thought about it. So they just think that everything is taken care of, and generally that will be the experience of them also if they have the faith. But so in this particular case that you are saying, if we can have that mindset, think in more generally, don't think about like money situation or a relationship situation that is particularly causing problem. Instead of that, something like that, everything is being taken care of, or like everything, all is well in my life, something like that. So that will also help in that particular situation. We will not be focusing on that situation, okay, but we will think more in general. Okay, so like this there are like many things that Abraham Hicks recommends in their books. So it is actually a very deep topic, and I found like many tips like this. And one thing, like when you think about something and look at what is your feeling, if you feel very positive about it, that means you are attracting it. If you are like feeling negatively, that means you are attracting something that which you don't want. So if you want money, and whenever you think about money you feel like a fear, anxiety, all those things, that means you are not attracting it, you are pushing it away. But if you feel excited, if you feel enthusiastic, or like you feel like you already have it, or such kind of happy thoughts, joyful feelings, that indicate that that is on your way, you are attracting it. So this is a check that we can also think, okay, something we want to attract, and what is the feeling I have currently. Then if it is not very positive, then something needs to be changed, either the way think about it, or maybe we can think about something else, or like think about it in general. And also we need to have a like a high vibratory state to have to attract something that we want. So that is some one prerequisite. So how to improve our vibratory level? So there are many recommendations in that book, in those books. So one thing that I also generally do is appreciate something. Okay, if you can appreciate something, that will increase your vibratory level. So if I just go on a ride to a like a beautiful place, or like a hilly area, things like that, if you can just like appreciate the natural beauty of the place. So one thing, you are like taking your mind off the subject, and the other thing, you are appreciating it now, appreciating things, that is like naturally lifting your vibratory level. So once you like go on a like a short trip like that, you feel that you are like your mind is uplifted. Okay, so then you are in a better position to attract things. So but if you are like feeling dejected, disappointed, like there are like many levels of negative thinking or negative feeling, and many levels of positive feeling as well. It's probably like the highest level is like love, joy, etc. Like that, like just a positive feeling, just an optimism, or maybe like irritation, then disappointment, depression, that is probably guilt, depression, all these things are like the lowest level of vibration. So if we are in a lower level and try to just visualize, or try to attract things, the happy things we may not be able to attract. So we need to be in that state first. So if you want to attract a particular thing, whatever is the feeling that you will have after getting it, that is the state you need to be in to attract it. For example, you want to attract a car, a beautiful car that you would like to have. What will be the feeling that you after you getting it? Okay, you need to be in that state of beingness first. That is why that is where it comes, that beingness first. Be, then do whatever you are doing, and money, doing a job, many things we can do, but we need to be in that state of being first before attracting.
So this all drops down to conditioning. This all drops down to conditioning of our mind to think in a certain way. And this is not taught anywhere. This is not taught in schools. This is not taught in colleges. Our parents doesn't know about this, and that's the reason we have created this whole negative environment around. which attracts more misery and pain into the lives of people, becoming more sympathetic about ourselves, and that's why we need sympathy from other people, and that destroys the whole idea of attracting things of abundance in your life. So
People generally think themselves as just the body and mind, like just the physical being, but everyone has a higher power within them. Okay, so the more we realize it, or like the more we tap into that higher potential, we can actually go above our limitations. Like whatever limitation that we think we have, we can go above that, and we can achieve like more things that we think we are capable of based on our past experience of ourselves. We think that like we have certain limitations and things like that, but the more we tap into that higher potential, we will be able to overcome all those things. So these are some of the things I got to understand, like from conversations with God, from the books of maybe Deepak Chopra, Louis Hay, multiple people, and Norman Vincent Peale, who wrote The Power of Positive Thinking. Many people, all those people are talking about not just achieving things just by hard work alone, but tapping into that higher power within. So that is one thing I found very interesting, and also I wanted to like explore that more, because like otherwise I'll be just limiting myself to my past achievements, and I will only think that I'll be able to achieve these things. I have these talents, only that much. I won't be able to go more than that. So this is why I found all these books very interesting. So that got me to think that okay, so this is not the end. There are like more to it. So that's why like I continued. I kept on reading, and also I started understanding like what are the limitations. For example, this conditioning that you talked about. So that is like one major thing, and like many other things like that. Like why do we have this fear? Many things like that. Like what are the things which actually limit us? What is the reason for that limitation? How to remove that limitation, and tap into more of that higher potential within us. So these are some of the things that I was able to understand through these books.
so in a way, if we see people, they face difficult situation in their life, and there's a general tendency of people to think that they are not good enough. uh, People walk out of your life, and you blame yourself, you blame your birth, you blame your looks, you blame your financial condition, and then you start to think that you are not good enough, which takes you to more deeper level of insecurity, and you are there in this loop of negativity for a very very long time, and coming out of that is very difficult, and that is where people starts to go towards the negative route of taking drugs and other things. And that's one of the biggest reason why people, they want momentary pleasure, momentary happiness, and that's the reason. I remember once you said to me that uh, we do not depend on the divinity of our heart, even if we are beggar, even if we are, those sages or saints who are roaming around in the Himalayas. They don't have any house, they don't have any belongings, they are not dependent on anything outside or external, and yet you see, even when they do not possess anything, their confidence is so high that they can look right into your eyes and say things which they have to say. You cannot, argue with them, because their understanding of the world, the logics they give are so beautiful that you tend to back off. And the one of the reason, and the biggest reason, is they depend on the divinity in their heart, the higher potential in their heart, and we tend to forget it. So Do you think this is the biggest reason why people go into deeper insecurities, because they don't depend on what is inside them, rather on the things and the possessions they have?
Yes. So people are like generally not taught about all these things in schools or like generally in houses or like in the society. So I think the problem starts with the schooling system itself. So our schooling system in general everywhere in the world, it is like tend to favor a small section of students who can remember things and reproduce it. Okay, so it is testing only a small subset of our abilities. So a person may be like a creative genius, but in school he may be labeled as like a not so good in studies, so he is not so good. So not so good in studies later becomes a label that they tend to believe that I am not so good. It becomes like a all encompassing thing. They think that I'm not so good. Okay, so very few teachers they try to encourage or like give confidence to the students. Otherwise, in general, if we are not able to do that, like study things, memorize and reproduce, or like write well, read well, or all these things, people who can do these, they will get good grades, and then they think that like they are good. Other people, like that is the majority. At least when I used to study, like that was the majority who may not be scoring well, and they think that like they are not so good. And this lack of confidence that will show up in their like whole life. Okay, so that is something we need to address. There is a need for people to aware that like there is a higher power within them, and at least I mean the youngsters, especially these days, where like people are resorting more to drugs, like alcohol, so many things, like anything external to themselves. So there is a need, especially these days, for making them aware of there is a higher potential within them. Even if like they are like they don't need to go very deeply into spirituality or anything. At least even for the material success, it is needed. Otherwise, I've seen like many people who lost their confidence within the schooling years itself, and they just try to just show outside like by like their achievements, like they show off like with their maybe like branded things, like so many things they just want to, because there is an insecurity. People generally think that they are not sufficient, they are not enough, so they like try to show just by outside achievements that, but people don't understand that like they are worthy by themselves, they don't need any external validation. Okay, but once people aware of that, become aware of that, they don't, then they stop it. So they will come to understand that there is no need for me to show my achievement to other people to get their validation, because I'm worthy by myself, I don't need all these things. So once they have that, then people will start depending upon that inner potential, higher potential, and then they will start, to the extent they are able to do that, they will find material success as well. That's why it is. I think it is said in the Bible that like if you seek the kingdom of God first, then you will have everything else will be added unto you. So that means like when we have that awareness, same thing can be utilized in our material life also. So the that spiritual awareness, it is helpful in material life also. So people, if they don't have a particular skill that is required in the job market, then they think that they are like a failure, but it is not so. Like we can't find a success like no matter what our previous experiences are, like past achievements are, like despite all those things, like we will be able to find success if we start depending upon that higher potential within us.
So, what do you think is the purpose of this whole law of attraction concept?
So it's actually a law. It is like a principle in the in the universe. So we can either like utilize it for our good, but if we are not aware of it, then unconsciously we are attracting the things we don't want. So I think the majority of people are like unconsciously attracting the things they don't want in their life. Okay, so if we are like very angry and irritated on a particular day, we tend to attract other angry people. So somebody will get irritated at us also. So like that, it is a principle of life. Like attracts likes. So if we are conscious of it, and if we are really aware of it, if we are very aware of how we are thinking, what we are feeling, and how to change that, then we can start using it for whatever we need. But if we are not really aware of it, and if we are not changing, so it is not just like a thought, visualization, feeling. It is not just that. I think like it really works when we also start to change. Okay, so when we change our like vibratory level on like most of the time, if we are able to change that, so only our like our judgments, all those things try to drag us down, and our negative thinking. So if we become aware of these things, if we become aware of how we think and how we feel, then we will like consciously try to change it. Like we will try to change our thinking, we'll try to change our feeling. Then we will see like how it is changing our like attractive power. Okay, so something else that I wanted to mention, I think you were asking about the books. So I think I forgot to mention this. Like you asked a question on like how we can like read more. How do we able to find time to read more and all this? It is not really actually only time. It is actually energy. So if we have a like a higher energy, we will be able to read and understand more. That's what something we will be able to notice. So when we have a higher energy, we will be able to achieve more things in a like a small amount of time. If we don't have the energy, if we like frittering away our energy, then we will feel like, okay, let me do this tomorrow. Because like we tend to procrastinate because we don't feel the energy, we don't have the enthusiasm. Then everything becomes a drag. Okay, so like 1 hour I may not be able to read if I don't feel that much energetic. Okay, so energy is something we need to consciously cultivate if you want to achieve something great in our life. So like there are like books like Miracle Morning, which says like if we wake up very early in the morning. So and this is the practice of most of the successful people. They wake up very early in the morning, and like 80% of the people who like Tim Ferriss in his podcast interview, many of the success people, 80% of them have like a morning meditation practice. So meditate, write a diary, journaling, and then like reading. All these things are associated with success. Like most of the successful people are like that. It is like a documented evidence. And early rising, if we wake up early in the morning, like uh, at least 5 o'clock, or like 4 o'clock if it is possible. So if we do that and then we do the exercise or like any physical activity, so these things tend to increase our energy. And yoga increases the positive vibration or the vibration of the body. Yoga elevates the vibration of the body, and meditation elevates the vibration of the mind. So if we have that elevated body and elevated mind, then it is easy to attract things, easy to read so many things. So all these things, like if you want to learn something for a job, like if you want to learn like new things that is happening in your like domain in your work. So if you want to learn many things in a short amount of time, you need high energy for that. Okay, so cultivating that energy, that will help. And also this high energy and that high vibratory level, it helps in attracting the things you want also.
You talked about higher energy. What do you think decreases the energy in people? What is the biggest drain because of which people are in low energy?
One interesting fact is that our brain uses up most of the energy. It is like we may think that like our thinking doesn't take up that energy. This is going on in our head, but it is like one of the most intensive energy intensive activity in human beings. It is thinking, and on an average we tend to have around 60,000 thoughts per day, and most of it is like repeated thoughts what we had on the previous day. We just repeat it, most of it. So if we can reduce that thinking, so that will also add to our energy, and unnecessary talking, all those things will help to save the energy, to cultivate energy. And also negative thinking, like it is actually, it will drain our energy. So people think that hard work drains their energy, but it is not so. So people, if they are interested in something, they can work like multiple hours on it without feeling tired. But if it is like something they hate to do, even 1 hour of work, they will become drained.
So, there are times when people misunderstand the concept of law of attraction, and they tend to think about things positively. They tend to feel positively about it, but they forget to act. And I have heard so many stories where people then come up and say that law of attraction doesn't work. And if you inquire into what they were doing, one serious thing was missing, which was action. What do you have to say about it?
Action is necessary anyway. So in this world, without action, I don't think like anything can happen. Effort is required, but only thing is that the thinking or feeling or the attraction, like what we are attracting, that is actually more important than action. Okay. So if you are like, if your point of attraction is correct, then you will come to know what is the action you need to take, and you will do the action as well. But if you are like not uh, like if you are not in the right feeling, if you are not thinking rightly, then it will be like more of a struggle. So there are like many people, they struggle with life, like even though they are hardworking, they do so many things, but they don't get that much result. Okay, so that is one thing to understand. So we need to make sure that our thinking and feeling is right before doing the action. So that comes first, but action is anyways necessary.
Another thing is schedule. You said energy, for high energy you need to have a schedule. Waking up at a particular time, sleeping at a particular time, eating at a particular time. Uh, do you really think disciplining of the mind through schedule somewhere affects the law of attraction?
Basically, we need a schedule. We have a rhythm. So if we go according to that rhythm, then things are like smoother. Otherwise, it is like we are swimming against the current. So if we observe like our own energy levels, it tends to be like, for most of them, most of the people, or like at least for me, it tends to be like, I tend to be like more energetic during morning times. So if we have that higher energy in the morning, then it is better to do the most difficult thing for the day in the morning itself. So take the most difficult thing and attain that, because each decision we take, it needs some energy. So we expense energy for each of the decisions we take, whatever things we do. All these things needs energy. That's why like many successful people tend to automate as much things as possible. They tend to wear like a same color dress every day, eat the same thing. So they don't need to make a decision, and they reserve their energy for the most critical things. So managing the energy more than the time, we need to manage our energy. So do the most difficult things, or like most important things, when we have that high energy. So yeah, and the same thing goes for for this affirmations as well. So when we do, if we do affirmations in the morning and then night, so these times our conscious mind tend to have a contact with the subconscious mind. So at that time, if we introduce any affirmation, it is like a seed that goes into our subconscious, and it tends to manifest itself. So if we do these affirmations or visualizations in the morning and in the night, it will be more effective. It tends to like manifest more. And also during the daytime, we will have like so many thoughts. So in the early morning and in the night, our like mind will be in if we take the brain wave, it is in the alpha state. So during daytime activity, it is in the beta state, which is our conscious mind. And this alpha state, it tends to have certain like qualities which are not there for our conscious mind, which is the beta state of brain waves. So if we do these affirmations during those times, it will be more effective. And there are like other things. So this is like one of the books that I'm reading, I picked up recently. It's called Silva Method. In this book, I think the author is like Jose Silva. He developed some methods how to tap into our right brain, or like more creative. Uh, and he even came to know that our subconscious mind is able to even predict things which we are not able to see or perceive through our senses. So many things, like it was like his personal research, and like he taught these things to many people also, like many people through trainings as well. So these are like some of our like higher potential. So it is like what we see in our like conscious mind is only the tip of the iceberg. So I am also like understanding that like there are like more possibilities and like potentials within us. So this is also like some of the things associated, some of the powers associated with our subconscious mind, or like how to tap into our like right brain. Most of the time we are using our left brain for logical thinking, analysis, everything. But there are like some hidden potentials. I think it was like Einstein or somebody said like we are using only less than 10 percentage of our brain. So like 90 percentage is going wasted in like for most of the people. So these are like some of the possibilities that I came to understand recently. So yeah, so the schedule, so you mentioned about disciplining. I think like discipline is also like an essential thing that uh, I came to appreciate, because without discipline life becomes difficult. So find getting that discipline into our life is maybe like difficult initially, but once we have that habit, once we develop that discipline, then life becomes easy. Okay, if we have that discipline, and I think it is easier to develop that discipline during the school years, like before maybe 15 years, it is easier to develop that. So people like I observed some people, like I was like seeing one of the interviews of like a Hollywood actor, like Gregory Peck. So he was saying that like he had like a military plus religious upbringing, and on those days it was like thought to be a very good combination. Discipline plus like a religious faith, a combination of that is very good. He was saying that, and he had that benefit. Like when we see him, just by observing him, like we will be able to like feel his like character or like a strength of his character just by looking at him. It was like very visible. So like there are many people who developed such kind of discipline during their like formative years itself. So it is, I think it is easier to develop, but later on also we can try to develop. Everyone may not have that that background where they get all the discipline required for their life during their like formative years itself, but we can try to develop many of those. I think Atomic Habits is like one of the very popular books which talks about how to form the habits, how to break the bad habits, all those things.
Another thing which comes to my mind is the character of a person. We have variety of character if we see among people, and someone who understands the law of attraction, if they tend to use it against another human being, that's one way of using it. The other is with for the benefit, with gratitude. That's the other way of using it. So these two ways, they are defined by the character of a person. A person with benevolent good character will use it for the benefit, and the other one tend to use it for the negative things in life. So do you think that law of attraction works only when we use it positively for the benefit of the humanity, instead of using it in a negative way?
So one thing I would like to mention is that our consciousness has a like a quality. It only attracts. So if we say we want something, or if we say we don't want something, if you don't want something, don't think about it. If you think about it, we tend to attract it. So if we say that like I want to stop this particular habit, we desperately want to stop that particular habit. We are thinking about it again and again. I want to stop it. Then we won't be able to stop it, because like with our conscious mind, our consciousness, we are only attracting it. So that is one thing. So I'm not so sure about the answer for your first question, like whether we will be able to use it for like harming people instead of like using it for the good. Like recently I read in this book by Jose Silva that when we tap into that higher power, he says that it is impossible to do harmful things, but I have not tried it myself, so I cannot say it for sure. Basically that's what the experienced people says, but I am not 100% sure about it. I have not tried it as well.
Interesting. Another aspect is ego. Yeah, sometimes we are very insistent. Sometimes we are very egoistic about achieving something, and as you mentioned, it somehow stops you from achieving whatever you want, because you are running too much behind it, that you chase it out of your life. So this is the play of ego, and we need to moderate our ego in order to attract the abundance in our life. How much this principle works?
So yeah, one thing is that like ego has a utility as well. Ego basically means our individuality consciousness. Like I am conscious of my individuality, or like a separateness. I am separate from everyone else. So I have an individual existence that is basically needed for doing any work. So it is needed, but only to a certain extent. So if we have that ego more than what is needed, then we tend to overlook many things. Like our intelligence become blunt, and then people don't want to associate with egoistic people, as we all know. And one of the problems when it comes to teamwork is ego. Like if we have people with ego in a team, it is very difficult to work with them, right? So for a good teamwork, the members have to subdue their ego. So we need to have an ego, but at the same time we need to keep it at a level which is like very functional. We can use it, but it should not become like too much as well. Then it may lead to our own downfall, like if we have that too much of ego. So
Yes.
everything we need to like think in a long term thing. There is no point in achieving anything only for the short term.
Yes.
So this is a very paradoxical situation. We want something, that the thing that I want it, or I am going to attract it, or using the law of attraction in whichever way, is the property of our ego, because we want something, we, even if it is abundance, but we want it. That's the property of ego. But in order to achieve it, we have to become universal. We have to have the quality of universe, where even if other people have it, we have to appreciate it. Even if other people have it in abundance and we lack it, we should not be in an envious situation, but rather be more universal and accepting. So don't you think it's a paradoxical situation? On one hand, we want it, that's very personal, very egoistic, and on the other hand, in order to get it, we have to be universal.
So one thing I think, the like the worldly way of doing things. So people generally sacrifice things and get something. Sacrifice, like give our time and get money in return. So some people may be like very successful people. They tend to sacrifice a lot. They give their energy, time, money, everything for a single cause, and they achieve it also. So that is one way of achieving it, or at least the traditional way or the worldly way of doing things. So that is one way, and the other way is like through the universal cosmic energy, or the higher potential within us. So that is, I think, that is another way. So being in conformity with that principle, and then manifest things. So that is a slightly different way of, I think both of these things are like different ways, kind of different ways as I understand it. And um, so when we do it through the traditional or like way, so the basically there are bondages within us. So people generally, everyone wants. So this is like a fundamental question: what do we really want? Okay, this is, so I think everyone has to ask that question: what do we really want? So if people say many things, like then we, if we ask like why do we want that, then for something else, then ultimately it comes to like a freedom or like happiness. That's what people is motivating factor basically. But due to this impressions or like samskaras in the subconscious mind, it is not possible to get everything that we want. We don't have that freedom. So people think that when we have money, we will have the freedom, but it may not be the case. When we have finally the money that we wanted, we may have some other issue, because the bondage is within us. Money is not going to solve that, or the job that we like is not going to solve that, or the relationship is not going to solve that issue. So it is a spiritual problem basically. So only if we remove that bondages within us, then we get that freedom. Okay, so everyone are trying to get that freedom through money, through achievements, so many things, but it is basically within us. Okay, only if we remove that, then only we will have that freedom. Okay, so these are like looking at so if we have that bondage, then I may not be able to make money now, so I may sacrifice my time, or like sacrifice my being in my hometown or like home country. I may go out, sacrifice some of the things, and then make money, but there is a sacrifice there. So in the worldly way of things, we need to um, sacrifice something and get something we want. So when we realize more and more of our like divine nature. So it is a different way of doing things from our divinity instead of our like individuality or separation. So these are like two different ways of achieving things, as I understand it.
For attracting a specific thing in life, you have to think about that specific thing. Specificity is important, I've heard. So you need to be clear in your mind about what you want to attract in life, and then it is easy and possible to attract instead of having a vague idea of what you want. So how much it is important to sit down and think and analyze what you really want, rather than having vague ideas, so many vague ideas, and mixed up situations and mixed up attractions. Specificity, how much is it required?
Yes, so it is required, but in the book Conversations with God, I came to understand like there are like two different ways of doing it. One is the way you just described, through the thoughts. So we need to like be clear what we want and have the thoughts that like probably we are achieving that or something like that. Okay, through the thoughts. Another way it is mentioned in the book that through beingness. Okay, so if we are in that state of being of gratitude all the time, okay, so what is happening is that um, we let go our thoughts and feelings. Okay, and then we are in that beingness. So we are like through our faith, we are so sure that the divinity or the universe will give whatever we want, even before asking. That is a state of knowingness in which we are grateful. So this is a beingness. So the beingness of gratitude. So we are transmitting that we already have what we need, or the joyfulness which says that like we are happy. That means like we have already what we want and we are like whole. So in such situations, the and we let go of our thoughts also. So the subconscious thoughts which generally sabotage ourselves, it will not be there. So we are letting go of, we are letting all the thoughts go. But that state of being, it will reproduce itself in the situations. So that's why the happy beingness will tend to reproduce itself in our situations. Like we will find more and more happy situations or more and more things which we will feel grateful about, rather than the things that we don't want or like we hate, all those things. Okay, so the other things just you mentioned, we will be able to manifest specific things with that approach. Like we can have, we can be clear and then manifest it. But the problem is that we will continue to manifest the things we don't want also, because all those things are already there in our subconscious. We will think about all those things once in a while or like more frequently. So even though we are manifesting the things that we want, we will continue to manifest the things we don't want also. And sometimes it may become difficult to manifest the things we want as well, because we have like strong impressions or like strong samskaras within our subconscious, which will actually prevent it from happening. Okay, so it will become too difficult. Then we need to have that much faith that it will happen. So there are ways to overcome all these things, but it becomes difficult. So that beingness is like one easier way of doing it, but it also takes time to get into that. It is a practice. So it's basically a spiritual practice to be into that state where we let go of our thoughts and feelings and have that beingness, maintain that beingness, and it will um, basically manifest the things which are already in our conscious mind, and that subconscious sabotage will not happen.
I've heard people saying that they wondered about something, they thought about something, or they imagined something, and then they just forgot about it, and later in life it really happened. So they didn't put much imagination, they didn't put much effort into it, and it happened. And on the other hand, I also hear that people keep saying that we wanted it so much, we wanted some particular thing to happen, and then we were doing everything we acted upon it, we felt like that, but still results are not as per our wishes. So why this distinction between effort and effortlessness?
So when we put effort, then we are kind of saying that like it is like difficult, or we are not actually in that flow state where it is easy to manifest things. We are like becoming more desperate. We are trying to do put effort. It should be actually effortless. That's what it is said in the books by Abraham Hicks. So when we so sometimes it is like very easy to manifest things because we are already in that mode where there is not much resistance, and also there is no subconscious thoughts which prevents that thing, particular thing. We don't have any subconscious thought which is actually will prevent that particular thing which we are thinking from happening. So sometimes it becomes very easy to manifest, so we don't need to put much of visualization or anything. So it like just happens like that. That means there is no like not much subconscious thoughts or like impressions which will prevent that particular thing from happening. And also the other thing, like when we put a lot of effort, that means that like instead of allowing that thing to happen, there is some resistance and we are like putting more effort, and that means like we have more attachment for that, and attachment also pushes it away. Yeah,
Attachment.
that's what is happening. Yeah, attachment will push things away. So attachment says that like I am separate and whatever I need, that is separate from me, and I fear that I may lose that one. So the reality is that there is only a like a universal consciousness and everything is that. So instead of realizing our real nature, we are thinking that I am separate and that particular person or like the object that I desire is actually different from me and I can lose that. Okay, that is actually a false thinking or like our lack of awareness. So when we overcome that and start to understand that it is not the case, and then like that we start dropping our attachments, then it will become easier to manifest things because we are not attached to it, so we prefer it. Okay, it is good if I get that, but I am fine if I don't get that as well. That is our attitude.
The attachment is
In
missing.
that attitude, yeah, there is no attachment. It is just a preference. I'm saying it will be good if I get that. Okay, but I'm fine if I don't get that also. If you get into that mode or at that attitude, then it will become easier to attract things because there is no subconscious thoughts which is preventing, and there is no anxiety or fear that I may not get it. I'm fine. I'm happy even if I don't get it. So in that state of mind, in that attitude, it will become very easy to manifest things.
I'm
I'm going to pose a very practical question in front of you. For example, if I want to become a writer and I have this ambition or aspiration of becoming a writer, and I want to be known, and I want to, more than anything, I want to write good. I want to write something which inspires and motivates people, something which is interesting, something which is widespreadly read, and then I want to use the law of attraction for it. So, what is the right course of action?
So here, like more than just like thinking about it and affirming it, I think what will better work is that so we feel that like I have that talent. Okay, so I mean I know that like I have that talent to be a writer, but somehow I have this subconscious thoughts that like sometimes I feel that I don't deserve it, or I don't need to think. If I have that judgment that I don't deserve it, or I have done things which I should not have done, or like I didn't do some things that I should have done. If we have that judgments, it will actually prevent us from having that good life. So what is a good life? So that means we are at the perfect situation. Okay, so our preparedness is meeting the opportunity. So that is the definition of luck. The preparedness, or whatever talents we have, whatever skills have, is meeting with the opportunity. Okay, I am able to use that skill, and then I'm compensated also for that. So that is the perfect situation, or what we call luck. So my judgments about me will prevent that, and also my subconscious thoughts. Like I had like previous experience where I had so many bad experience in my work, so I think that I'm never going to be in a comfortable work. So those subconscious thoughts will have an effect, definitely. So if we are able to let go of our thoughts and feelings, any whatever bad experience we had, we are able to let go, instead of like if we start thinking about like getting an income from writing, or like publishing a good book, the first thing that may come to our mind is that, okay, people might criticize me because I had bad experience with people criticizing me for many things. So that bad feeling is there, that feeling plus that thought is coming. Then we may think that we don't deserve that, we don't deserve to be a good writer, we don't deserve to have a good life, we don't deserve to be in that positive state of mind and positive state of beingness. So we have all these subconscious thoughts. It is very difficult to let go of them. But if we are able to let go, probably because of you have done some like some therapy, or like maybe you have a spiritual practice which is helping you to let go of your subconscious thoughts and feelings, then you come to that feeling of gratitude, or like beingness. You are in that beingness. Okay, I'm grateful for everything. I'm not even thinking about being a writer. Okay, but if I have that talent and if I have that skill within me, naturally I'll move to that place where like whatever is there in my consciousness, like whatever is my conscious thinking, okay, I need to be a writer, but I don't need to be thinking about it all the time, affirming it all the time. If you are in that state of happiness and gratitude, and let go of whatever thoughts comes about criticism, whatever thought comes about judgment, all those things, if you are able to let go, then we will naturally move to what is our like conscious wish, and we are not attached to that also. I'm fine if I don't become a writer also, I'm fine, but that is my preference. So we will slowly move to that.
Okay. So one last thing I want to ask you, and I don't know whether I'll be able to put this very straight in front of you, because a little articulation is required. The thoughts are very close to each other. One is action about something. The other thing is thinking and feeling something wrong. For example, taking the same, or else taking uh, example of a relationship. For example, a boy attracts a particular girl in his life, and she comes up, and then instead of being unattached, he starts to get attached. The same thing goes for monies, the same thing goes for success. The person tends to get attached, and the moment you get attached, you see that the person which was there, they start to lose interest and go out. The success which was there, it starts to you start to lose that success. Same with the skills and other things. So what I want to ask is, those situations when we are attached, those situations are automatically created, or we are the one who are getting into those negative thinking because of our attachments, and then we are the one who are pushing the things away? I hope you're getting the question.
Yes,
So it is automatic, or we are the one who are pushing, and we stop that from happening once we start to get into the negative thinking.
One thing is that like we need to let go of that expectation as well. So that means like first thing, okay, so one person probably in the past, two people got attracted to each other. So so now I'm like willing to let go of my expectation. So my preference is that that particular person is like attracted to me as well, probably will become my life partner or something like that. That is my preference, but I should let go of that as well. Like it is probably that that person would have changed their mind, whatever it is, if they are not willing to do that. So I should let go of that. That is one thing. Other thing is that the attachment that I talked about. So that attachment can push it away. That is a problem with human love. So after a particular point, that love becomes fear. That is the thing happening everywhere. um, so that love turns into fear of losing the person, like be it a father or son or daughter, or like a two people like mutually attracted, things like that. Everywhere it can happen in the human love. That love becomes a like a fear of loss. So that is one another thing. The other thing is, again, as I mentioned, our own judgments. So if we have that thinking that I don't deserve a good life. It may be due to like multiple things. I have not done something I should have done, and I have done something, either ways, commission or omission. So we have some judgments. Okay, so that means we are in a like a lower state of vibration. So in a lower state of vibration, whatever that we want, because whatever we want, if we get it, we will become happy, right? That happiness is a higher state of vibration. So from a lower state of vibration, we will not be able to attract a higher state of vibrator or the high vibrating thing into our life. So like these are the three things that I can say that can push things away: attachment, vibratory level, and also we should be able to let go of that person. Okay, so that is our preference. But if they would like to change their mind, or like if they are happy somewhere else, I should be able to let them go. It is easier said than done, but that is a fact.
So I think that's it. That's it from my side. There were so many things which I have learned today, and there were so many confusions which got cleared. It was very nice talking to you, Anurag, and I hope in future we'll do it once more when you will be sitting right in front of me rather than thousands of kilometers away. I hope to do it again with you in the podcast, and thank you very much for coming, guys.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity. So I've been learning so many things, and it was like useful for me. And it is my intention that if I can help other people who are like starting out, or maybe even struggling in some of the areas, if I can be of help to them. So this is like a good opportunity for me to reach out to more people. And one another thing I would like to mention from the conversations with God. So it is that if you want to achieve something in your life, the easiest way of achieving it is help somebody else achieve that. So if you want to make money, help somebody else make money. If you want to become successful, help others to become successful. So that is the easiest way. If we focus on ourselves alone and try to become successful, it will be like time consuming. It will take longer to achieve that success. So by that, thanks once again.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank
Thank you.